Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Safe Money Radio. You might be listening in your car or at your home, but you might also be watching our podcast online or on YouTube. If this is your first time listening, just know you can always go to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast or on YouTube. Just look up Safe Money Radio with Brad Pistole. Today, we have a very special guest. As you know, if you've been listening for any amount of time, we've been on the air for 14 years now. It's hard to believe. We're just now starting our 14th year, and we would not be on the air if it were not for our guest today. So a very special friend and a very special guest, Anthony Owen, is joining us from Colorado. Is it Denver exactly where you're at, or where in Colorado, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm in a place called Erie, which is on the north side of Denver.
Okay, very good. So just my family there, I just say they're in Denver. Safe Money Radio started in Denver. I talk to Denver, Colorado every day, trust me. So here's what I'd like to do. It's kind of neat. It's kind of special for me, Anthony, having you on after all these years to think back through how much things have changed. And I'm going to go into that later. But tell us today, for our listeners, how did you even get started in the financial services business and teaching other financial professionals how to help their clients keep their money safe? How did that even start?
Well, Safe Money Radio might have started in Denver, but I kind of started in Hawaii. And
yeah,
that's where I grew up most of my life, and did the whole tourist and retail thing there. And my wife kept on bothering me about getting a professional job, so I ended up applying at a very large Fortune 500 property and casualty insurance company. Most of your listeners would know it by the green lizard that represented them.
Yeah.
And I entered into the business of protecting people's assets, their homes, their autos, and their liability, and progressed with that business, became a manager there. And then eventually ended up working claims. And when I started working claims, I really got to see the devastation of the underinsured.
Yeah.
Those people who didn't have proper insurance, those people who didn't understand their insurance. And that really started to, I think, create a heart for what we do today, understanding how important it is for people to protect their assets.
Yes.
So that kind of progressed to something much bigger.
Yeah, boy, did it ever. And we're going to get into that today. So, you might be listening right now, and I want to give you a phone number, because if you've never heard us, I sometimes take for granted with YouTube videos and how often I'm either on the news or writing articles or on the radio every week. A lot of you are listening for the very first time. So just know that you can call us anytime at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And we are in the business of helping people protect their assets, how to keep them 100% safe and protected from the risk and fees that are often associated with market declines and ups and downs and all that volatility and fluctuation. So if you want to know how we do that, if you would like to read a copy of either one of my best-selling books, Safe Money Matters or Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, all you have to do is call us. Say, hey, I want to read one of Brad's books. I want to get a copy of his Safe Money Kit. We'd be more than happy to get one to you. And we do financial meetings with people, free financial reviews. So if you want to call in anytime for a free financial consultation, just call us at 866-780-7233. And we'll be back after this break to talk more with Anthony. And someone is standing by right now to take your call. So for those of you who are listening with us today, we do have with us Anthony Owen on the show. And Anthony is, honestly, he's the reason that you're listening to me right now and that you've been able to listen to me since 2010. So, Anthony, I'd like to take just a moment to go all the way back to 2009 when I thought I knew a lot about financial planning and helping people, but I didn't, because I know now what I didn't know then. But my phone rang in 2009 one day, and there was this guy named Nate Murphy on the other end of the line. And he started asking me about my business and what I do to help clients. And after we talked for a while, he said, we're starting this radio program, this radio show. And boy, with your background in ministry and you not being afraid to talk to people, he said, I think you'd be great for it. And little did I know, boy, if I could go back and know and be able to see how my life was going to change over the course of the next 15 years as a result of that phone call, I would say it can't be true. It's not possible. But you were the reason behind Nate calling me that day. So if you will, go all the way back to like 09, 10. Tell us about Safe Money Radio and how this even got started.
Yeah, well, as I said, I started in the PNC business and then got, kind of tired of the corporate life, worked in their Hawaii office, transferred to San Diego, moved into management, and decided that I wanted to start my own business helping people. So, naturally, the first thing I thought of doing was property and casualty, but I decided to move to Denver and start a business helping people with life insurance. And, my father didn't do anything correct with his finances, constantly got into debt, spent too much money. And I knew one thing, I didn't want to duplicate that, right? Yeah. And so as I started learning about life insurance and learning the importance of protecting people's assets through life insurance now, not just home and auto insurance, I ran into these things called annuities and all the different things that we do to help protect people's retirement, to ensure their retirement from so many risks that can happen, like longevity and market risk and spousal survivorship and all these different things. So I did, just like you do today, meet with clients and started helping them with these products and setting up legacy and income planning and all these different things. And then it just became a matter of, how do I reach more people? Yeah. I mean, we have a story to tell.
Yeah.
We have people's lives to save, literally their financial lives. How can I do that? How can I reach more people? How can I make it less transactional so that they can actually hear our stories and understand the sincerity and the genuine nature of what we have to offer? And radio just seemed like a way to do that. I was very fortunate. We had some great business partners that helped us launch this, and then met some more great business partners like you who shared the same vision of being able to reach out to people in a way that they could hear our story and become engaged with our story, and then want to take the next step, which is meeting with us and letting us help them.
Well, Anthony, I appreciate you sharing that. And if you'll stay with us today, we're going to have several more segments with Anthony. We're going to be talking about just how these things do change lives. I'm going to share some personal stories. I know Anthony will too. We'll talk about why we own annuities personally. I own 6 of them. Anthony's owned them for years. I bought my first one. I actually have my sheet with me. I share it with my clients. Was May the 2nd of 2008. And we all know what was going on in 2008 when I didn't know a lot about these, but I knew it was going to protect my money. And my father, who was a financial advisor for 52 years, who worked at Merrill Lynch at the time, was the person who controlled all of my assets and did all my investing. And I did something that wasn't fun. I fired my father. I said, no more risk. I can't watch this go down anymore. And I purchased my first annuity by moving my 403B that was at Merrill over into an annuity. And I converted that to a Roth IRA, and it's been growing tax-free ever since. So it certainly changed my life, and it then later changed his life. We might talk more about that. But if you're listening today and you're getting to enjoy how Safe Money Radio started because of people like Anthony Owen, who helped start this whole thing back in 2009. So if you want to know how to protect your money and to keep it safe, if you've been going through all the ups and downs of the market, especially in the last year, then we can show you how to do something different, perhaps a better way for your specific situation. We can show you how to develop an income floor that's safe. You'll never lose your principal. And we can show you how to develop guaranteed streams of income that will last the rest of your life. If you want to know more about it, just call us. Our number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. When you call, just ask for our free information or ask for a free financial consultation. We will meet with you free of charge, and we will get you headed in the direction of safety and guaranteed lifetime income. Our number again is 866-780-7233. 7233. And there's someone standing by right now to take your call. Now, if you're just joining us today, we have Anthony Owen on the show with us, all the way from the mountains of Colorado. And I always joke with Anthony and Nate and say, hey, whatever your weather is, we're going to get it about 2 days later. And it seems like that's what always ends up happening. So today we're about the same. 40 degrees outside. I think it's maybe going to snow some this weekend. But we're thankful to have Anthony on here and to be sharing with us about how Safe Money Radio started. And so, Anthony, let's kind of pick up right there. You know, on the show, we talk a lot about safety. That's the reason it's called Safe Money Radio. We talk about guarantees. We talk about insuring your retirement. And I've always found it interesting. We insure our cars, our boats, our homes. You can talk a lot about this. That was your background. But a lot of people don't know that you can insure your retirement. Like, what does that even mean? So when we insure all those other things, but we don't insure our retirement, why is that so important, Anthony? If you will, talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, well, I would say, well, let me put it this way. I mean, as we go through our lives and engage with other people, there's always those pivotal moments, right?
Yeah.
There's those moments that are just etched in our brain and change the course of our life. So for me, that happened after I got on the radio and we started doing this thing called Safe Money Radio. In 2010, I had a client that I was working with, and he hadn't even listened to my radio show, but I told him I was on the radio, and he was like 10 years my senior. So I was in my young 40s at the time, and he was retired already early in his 50s. And so I didn't have a lot of credibility in his eyes, but I told him I was on the radio, and then all of a sudden he wanted to talk, because he's like, oh, you must be legitimate now. You're on the radio. And so we're on this road trip out to the gun range, and then all of a sudden he just, becomes transparent with me. And he goes, listen, I had 1.9 million, then it went down to 1.1, then it went back up to 1.7. I can't take that roller coaster ride, not in my retirement.
Yeah.
He goes, let's meet next week and let's talk about what you're doing. And so we met next week. His wife had about $2 million in her account. So we moved his entire account over, set up a laddered inflation hedged income design with long-term care doublers, provided him enough income for the rest of his life. He'll never outlive it, and he'll never not have enough of it, because of his expenses being modest and the income we were able to prepare. And so I walked away from that appointment feeling like I had solved his problem. I had done something about long-term care. I had done something about his income. And I had no idea what I'd actually done.
Yeah. Because
on October 6th, of 2010, there was about 15 minutes in everybody's lives that would, if they were invested in the stock market, they remember this. It's called a flash crash. Mm. And the Dow went down 1,000 points and went back up in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right after that happened, I get a text from this customer. And he says, I know something bad happened, but I'm so happy I don't need to know what it was.
Yeah.
And
peace of mind.
I realized that I hadn't sold him an insurance product. I had sold him peace of mind.
Yeah.
He no longer has to watch CNBC. He no longer has to worry about the survivorship of his spouse, about outliving his income. And so when we talk about insuring your retirement, we're talking about what is probably the biggest asset you have, if not, the second biggest. And you would spend money on your home, even if it was paid for to insure it, because a catastrophic loss to your house means that you're in real big financial trouble if you don't have insurance for it, right? Why not insure your retirement? And why not buy peace of mind? That's what I learned. And that's what really inspired me to continue in this business and helping people and reaching more people like you, Brad, and all of our partners that are across the nation, because we really do have a mission field to help people enjoy their retirements. And that's what it's all about.
I wish we had time, Anthony, I could tell 100 stories. I could start at one and have someone with a counter and me go into story after story after story about how
millions
these things change lives. I do like to share the one with my father the most, and it's painful. You talked about your father and how he was always in a mess and had debt and that sort of thing. Well, my father was a financial advisor. 52 years in the industry, but he was on the brokerage side and on the unprotected side, and he never had anyone teach him about why it would be important to protect it. You just always go all in. Well, here's the struggle with that. When he was a assistant vice president at Merrill Lynch, '01 happened when he was 56 years old. So you talk about the client that went from 1.9 to 1.1 back up, and he didn't want to do it again. Well, he went through that when he had $1 million in his 401k and dropped to about 650. And then he grew it back up to about 750, and '08 happened. And the problem is he went from age 56 to age 63. And that is a crucial time to go through something like that. This time, the market dropped his accounts back to about 400. And here's the thing. You talk about the big things that we insure, like our homes, and we don't always think about our retirement account. He didn't have his home paid for. He didn't worry about that because he had $1 million in his 401k. So it's painful to share the story of my father. I love my father, but my dad went through really painful things as an advisor in '01 and '08 at age 56 and 63. And that's what we keep clients from having to go through because of Safe Money Radio and being able to get this message out to people to change their lives. Now, I know time-wise we need to take a break, but here's the thing. My father got out of that world in 2010 after he recovered a little bit and said, I'm not going through it a third time. I can't. He started purchasing annuities with his Merrill Lynch 401k, his first one in 11, and then he ended up with 3. And those 3 annuities gave him that peace of mind and have now passed on to my mother, and she's living off them. So I've watched it change my own family. That's why I own 6 of them. I know you own several, and we're going to talk about that after this break. Now, Anthony, before the break, we were sharing client stories and sharing some personal stories about safety and protection and why a client would choose to protect at least a part of their retirement income plan, their 401k or their IRA, because in most cases it is their largest asset. It's either their home or their retirement. They're normally pretty close. And we insure our homes and our cars and our boats, but often not our retirement. I think that's because so many people don't know that they can. So let's talk about it for a minute. I say all the time on the show, I own 6 annuities. I'm going to own more. I'm looking at purchasing a 7th one right now because of some crazy things that have happened in interest rates. And well, if you would have told me 3 or 4 years ago, oh yeah, you could get a short-term multi-year guaranteed annuity, what we call a MIGA, for 5.5%, I'd have said no way because they were 1%. But currently in 2023, there are. So I'm looking at protecting more of my money in something like that. But Anthony, I'll ask you a question. I know the answer, but do you own annuities? And if so, why? Why do you own annuities?
Yeah, the only problem I had is when I started in this business, I was too young to get the products I wanted to get.
That's it. Yeah.
Probably starting at about age 48. I'm 54 right now. I started buying annuities. I have 9 annuities right now, and I plan on buying 2 more here very shortly. I believe that, having an income floor, I mean, this is a really critical concept for your listeners to understand.
Yes.
I call it living with impunity when it comes to your finances. If you have all the income you need on a guaranteed lifetime basis, we also call it mailbox money. In other words, if something happens to me, all my wife has to do is go to the mailbox. She doesn't have to figure it out. She doesn't have to have my investment knowledge or know how to run that rental property or any of that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Day one, after I'm gone home to see the Lord, she can walk to the mailbox and get her money. In fact, these days, she doesn't even have to walk to her mailbox, right? Just gets
direct deposit
right into her account.
That's right.
And any of the other complexities that we have in our lives, she doesn't have to worry about those right away. I mean, she does. All the bills are on auto pay because the money comes in every month. And so that is what I have set up for myself and my wife, where we will always have the income that we need, at least the bare minimum, right? Cover expenses plus a couple vacations now and then.
Yeah.
And then the impunity part of that is, what do you do with the rest of the money? Mm-hmm. right?
Right.
If you insure your income, then the rest of the money, you can maybe take on some risk and not have to worry about it, right?
Gives you
And
freedom.
when the
Freedom to do what
market,
you want to
you can
do.
be patient. You can sit there with some cash on the side, wait for the market to go down. If the market crashes on you, it doesn't cause anxiety because your income is taken care of.
Very good.
And so that's what I've done with my own personal finances. And that's what I've always preached to our clients and the partners that we work with.
Well, let me ask you this, because I get asked this all the time. Brad, I took out my first annuity at age 37. I'm 51 now. So they always say, why do you own 6? And you said you own 9. I know world-renowned economist Tom Hegna, a good friend of ours, owns 11. Dr. David Babel owned 14. Why would you own more than one? Can't you just get one and it's what you need? Explain that a little bit for our listeners.
Well, this is where you need help. If you're listening to this right now, an annuity is a product. A product is not a plan, right? So
That's good. That's right.
You need to have someone analyze your situation, your timeline, and then we have this nasty little thing called inflation. So there's going to be a strategy that Brad is going to do for you called laddering and inflation hedging, so that different income can turn on at different times. And different products serve different purposes. Some of them are inflation hedged. Some of them are geared towards the largest guaranteed income amount. Some of them might just be growth. We call it lazy money. It's money that you don't need for your income, but you still want to grow it and protect it. I mean, we all want to be good stewards of our money, even if it isn't something that we're going to use during our lifetime. And I've always said that money has, and we talk about this on our radio show, money has 2 purposes, life and death, right? You're either going to use it while you're alive or you're going to use it while you're dead. And different products tailor to those different things specifically. And then some products are more geared towards long-term care benefits than others. So you really need to have a comprehensive approach, and don't try and figure this out on your own. You will not be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad and I have been doing this a long time, and it's a daily chore, a constant chore of learning what's available and how to implement it. So you really need that help. And then maybe in your particular situation, it will be just one product, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for some of you, it might be a lot more, and that's where you need help. And that's why I have it, because my income is laddered out and inflation hedged, and some of that money's just for my spouse if something happens to me. Some of it's for me because, I like to have income too.
That's right.
Some of it's for long-term care. Some of it's for death benefit. So
But the key is on all those annuities that you've laddered, and same thing for me, no matter what the purpose is, whether it's income, maybe starting at age 60, then I'm going to turn another one on at 62 and then one at 65. But they're all safe. We don't have to worry about, will that be there in the future? We've secured that and it's insured. We know that plan is foolproof no matter what's going on in the economy. So thank you so much for sharing those things, Anthony. And if you're listening right now, this is exactly why both my son and I, Hunter and I, we went through the Retirement Income Certified Professional Program through the American College of Financial Services. And flooring was one of the key things they taught. There's 3 main ways to walk through structuring things in an income plan. Flooring is really critical, and that's what an annuity does. It's what insurance does. It creates a floor that allows you to take care of those daily expenditures that Anthony's talking about. When you have that covered and it's guaranteed, it's mailbox money going to be there every month, you don't have to worry about the other things, and it really does give you peace of mind. That's why we just recently started offering to our clients something called the RISA. That stands for Retirement Income Style Awareness, and it is a survey put together by Dr. Wade Pfau, who has taught the Retirement Income Certified Professional Program for the last 10 years. We give this to our clients free of charge. If you went online and tried to take it, it'd cost $30, but it does what Anthony talks about doing. It lets you go in and find out what your specific need is, find out what type of stomach you have for risk and safety and income and the market and all that, and it generates a report very detailed and shows you what type of things you need to be talking about with your financial professional. And we offer that to all of our listeners. So if you would like to take the Retirement Income Style Awareness Questionnaire, or if you want our information about safety and guarantees and how to protect your retirement income, just call us anytime at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. There's always someone standing by to take your call, and we are here to help you with your retirement future. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We talked about so many powerful, important things. And I think as we wrap up, and I'd love to have you on again, I know it's going to be super interesting and a great blessing to our listeners to kind of hear from the person that helped start Safe Money Radio and get it off the ground. So I'm thankful to you and Bill and David and all the people that helped start Safe Money Radio many years ago. But I just want to say this. It's been such a blessing to me. Like I said, I think in the very first segment of the show, if you could go back and tell young Brad Pistole in 2009 what was going to change in his life because of Safe Money Radio, I would have said that's not possible. I'm never going to be at that place in life, and I'm not going to meet 1,500 different clients whose lives I get to help change and mold and shape. To be able to tell stories about our annual Christmas party, I always send you pictures of it, and the people who come in bringing us cookies and pies and presents and cards with the most beautiful messages saying, hey, thank you. I met you back in 2012 and you changed my family's life forever. It's really powerful, the things that happen when people stop worrying about the future and whether or not they're going to have enough money to live on. We know from all the years of doing business and talking with clients all across the country, and you help financial professionals all across the United States who are hosts of Safe Money Radio and that work with plans with clients. The number one fear of all retirees is running out of money before they run out of life. And that's exactly what we help solve. We've solved that problem by what we do. So, Anthony, I want to thank you personally. I want to thank you for all the things you've done and that you continue to do to teach financial professionals how to help save lives for the people who are listening to Safe Money Radio. Thank you so much. And is there anything that you would want to share? We've got listeners all over the place because of online. We have people that call us from New York and California and Florida, two from Florida yesterday. What would you say to people who are listening right now? What advice would you give them when it comes to this crazy world of retirement planning and all the options that are out there?
Well, first of all, just gratitude for all the partners I work with and then all of the clients that we work with. Yes. We're really blessed to be in a business where we get to help people. And then if we help enough people, we don't have to worry about ourselves. And that's just the greatest business. It's really a joy to see lives change. If you're listening and you're wondering if this is something for you, I think you owe it to yourself to find that out. That would be my first thing. And then just kind of like I started seeing a fitness trainer. He comes over to my office 3 days a week and makes me hurt. And
that's right.
And the first thing he did was something really smart. He set me up on these fitness apps on my phone, and he knows what I eat every day. He knows how much I exercise every day. He sees my calorie burn. He sees my macro and my micronutrition. And then this morning he sent me a text showing me a picture of his cardio machine and saying, hey, I'm on the machine. Are you? Holding me accountable.
That's good.
And while I understand the reason, I think a lot of times our clients approach us with a lot of hesitancy, as they should, right? They're with great opportunity to do help. There's also great opportunity to do harm. And there's a lot of people out there and a lot of industries that would want to take advantage of our clients. So you should come into this with skepticism. And, Brad's an expert on all this stuff, and you cannot stump the professor, I promise you. But at the same time, come in with an open mind. Come in with full transparency. Brad can't help you if you don't help him help you. That's and, right. a lot of customers, it's really difficult to help them because they hold back information, they don't fully engage, and they don't realize that we're trying to be that fitness partner that holds them accountable and wants them to live longer and be more healthy in their finances, right? So I would fully investigate, talk to Brad, talk to Hunter, let them do a deep analysis on your finances, find out what your dreams and hopes and legacy goals are, and then listen to them. And like Brad will be the first to say, hey, you know, if you don't like what he has to offer, we'll depart as friends. And my doors and my pies that I give out every year are always available to you if you come back. So
that's right.
We really just want to help people that want us to help them. And that's what Safe Money Radio is all about. That's what Brad and Hunter are all about. So, and I would say start now, right? I mean, if I now that I've started with a fitness trainer, I'm thinking like, wish I would have done that about a decade ago. It's a lot harder to correct problems than it is to prevent them. So you cannot start early enough to get on the train to either recovery or into avoiding a problem in the future.
Anthony, I say this all the time. I appreciate you sharing all that. Everyone wants to get in shape after they have a heart attack. Everyone wants that life insurance policy after they're uninsurable. It's the greatest thing in the world after they can't get it, right? So it's better to do it ahead of time. And so, friends, if you're listening or if you're watching, if you're on YouTube or maybe you're listening or watching a podcast, remember, we go to the dentist for a reason. We don't try to take care of our teeth. We go to the doctor for a reason. We don't try to figure out what's going on internally. They are trained specifically to take care of those things. Hunter and I and all of our partners on Safe Money Radio are highly trained when it comes to safety and retirement income planning. Hunter and I are both retirement income certified professionals through the American College. I'm a certified financial fiduciary and a certified annuity specialist. This is not something you just take a 1-hour course on and you get some letters behind your name. You're talking about years and years of training. And I always say this, and Anthony knows it. If I don't know the answer, I know someone who does. I can call Ed Slott or Tom Hegna or Dr. Wade Fowle or someone else in the industry, people like Anthony and Nate and friends, all the partners all across the country who do this all day long, every day. So my advice would be just be careful. As Ed Slott would say, especially in his most current PBS program, there's 4 freedoms that he wants you to experience, and one of them is freedom from bad advice. Just because you hear someone on the radio does not mean they're an expert. They may have been on for 6 months or a year. We've been on the radio every single week since 2010, and we have helped hundreds of thousands of clients all across the country. So if you want to talk to one of our partners, just call us anytime. If you're in our specific area, call us at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. We will do a free financial consultation with you. We will go in depth with what we think would be best for your specific situation. So call us anytime. We're glad to help. 866-780-7233. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today. God bless to all of you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.